Hello everyone and welcome back to Wonder of Faith. As always, I'm Anthony Bush, and today we'll be moving right along with the Wondrous Orders. So last time we talked about the importance of academic excellence and what it means to be someone who values education. We are still in the Order to doctrine, which talks about obedience and discipline in certain regards of the human person, and obedience to the church. Today we're going to talk about the doctrine of financial status. And that's how do we manage our finances so that we can better serve God. And so we start off in the doctrine of financial status. The world has chosen a capitalist system of achievement and economic governance. Therefore, it is necessary to be responsible in this area and remember to be mature, but at the same time humble. So I think it's easy to experience that we have these goals in faith and in spirit, and they're very important and we always look to them, but at the same time we have day-to-day things we have to do. We have jobs, we have families, and therefore we have to be able to manage our lives accordingly so that we can make sure everyone we're responsible for is getting what they need. And this in turn will reflect our faithfulness to God, because by serving those He's given us to take care of, we're showing Him that we do care for Him as well. But today we're going to be focusing mainly on monetary success and how one should go about thinking about it in not just a secular aspect, but in the aspect of faith as a whole. Because everything can be related to the spiritual path forward, even finances. So number one, never spend profusely, for it leads to corruption. I think this is an easy one everyone has heard before. To spend more than we have to, or to use money for things we don't really need, for things that are not going to help us become better people in the long run, is not really worth it, because that leads us off the path of faithfulness. If we're so involved in worldly pleasures or entertainment and we're putting all our money and efforts into it, how is that going to benefit anyone else, including ourselves? Because we may be joyous for the second, we may have some we may for the moment be pleased or entertained, but in the long run it's going to be unfulfilling, and we constantly search and go toward other things. So even when we're spending money, we have to be very careful on what we're doing. Are we spending on something that we need rather than on what we just simply want? It doesn't mean we can't go to the movies or go out to eat. I know I love to eat. It's one of my favorite pastimes. But we enjoy that, and we take it for what it is, a moment of enjoyment. But it's not going to take over our entire lives and be the center of our economic gain or what we spend our money on, because we know there's better things, there are more important things. Number two, give in charity unless the fear of falsehood exists. So everyone should give not only of their time but of their finances to those organizations or those movements that are helping others in the world. There are plenty of great charities out there, plenty of great movements, and you just pick one that's closest to you. Perhaps you know someone who went through cancer, and so you give to cancer organizations. Also, the church has many wonderful organizations that help the poor, help the needy. The church spends a lot of its time and money to help those who deserve the mercy of God and are not shown it here on earth. And so you can never go wrong with a Catholic organization. But something to keep in mind is some organizations will invest in things that are against the Catholic viewpoint. I'm not going to name any, but I'm sure you can think of some nonprofits that use their money in ways that are against the Catholic view. So always be careful and make sure that the organization you are giving to is actually not using your money to help causes that are seen as immoral or not of value in the church's eyes. That's why it's always good to at least first check and see if there's a Catholic organization that's trying to accomplish what you're passionate about before going on to secular organizations. And even with those, just research and make sure that your money is being used for what you want it to be used for, and not being used to further some agenda or some idea that's against the church. Number three, help the world by especially helping missions at the Catholic Church. So we have so many important foundations out there, so many important causes, but the church, as Catholics, we realize the church has a special mission. If you want to have souls be converted and follow the truth, the church needs money to do that. It needs your time, your resources. And so you always have to keep that in mind, because that's a very important special cause that deserves time and money and attention. And the easiest way is just at Sunday, you see the baskets go around the collection, and just give what you can. If you can give 100, great. If you can only give 5, that's fine too, because as we've seen in the Bible, it doesn't matter about the actual amount. It's how much effort you're putting into giving to the church and to the cause of making saints. So always be aware that the church is always in need. To stand for what it stands for in a modern, monetized world, it's very hard. So just keep that in mind as you contemplate how you want to spend your funds for philanthropy. Number 4, be responsible as to save for personal success, but not to the sense of selfish or greedy proportions. So wealth is something that a lot of people go after, and they'll just rake the money up, they'll keep it in the bank, or they'll only use it for themselves, and that's just not the way the Catholic faith sees the value of money. Money you can save for your family, you save it for future emergencies, or you're saving up for something that's important. But if we're greedily just holding the money so we can say we're rich, or that we'll be saved to an exorbitant amount, that we have millions in the bank not being used, then that's money that could be helping other people. There's economic disparity all over the world, even in the United States to a degree, but not as bad as other nations. But it's existent everywhere. And if we can do our part to stimulate the economy, or spend money for places that are trying to do good things, even if it's, I don't know, a furniture shop. If a furniture shop, they're working hard, they want to sell furniture, they want to make money for their employees, for themselves, and we can spend in that company and other companies and just keep the money moving. Because when no one spends, that of course causes a depression, and people can no longer be sure that they can feed their families, and that's what the Great Depression was. And we just don't want that to happen again, because everyone deserves prosperity to that degree. And that goes for everyone on the globe, even those in places of starvation or of drought. They deserve it as equally as we do. And so we have to always keep that in mind, that we're not just living for ourselves, we're living for the good of all, including people we do not know that are across the globe. Number 5, keep the assets of the church as a priority and give more if she is in need. So I'll use Catholic Charities as an example. Catholic Charities does so much good work with helping the vulnerable, with soup kitchens, with immigrants coming into the country. They get them settled down. They just do amazing work across the United States. And Catholic Charities, I know, at sometimes needs more money because there may be seasons. I know I've heard from soup kitchens that at the end of the month is when they receive the most business, or most people coming in, because the paychecks are running out, and those who are kind of living paycheck to paycheck are waiting for the next one to arrive. So you can imagine in this time, the St. Vincent de Paul and such, they need more funds and more resources to be able to serve these people. So always be conscious of that there is a whole operation, there's a whole movement going on that the church does, if we realize it or not. And we can be a part of that. We can help the church that we adore and love and serve them in every way possible, including monetarily, because it is necessary. I know our faith, we like to kind of disconnect money from faith because they're two different realms. But for the church to be a church of the people that functions for the people and does for people, it needs funds in order to continue its work. I think that goes without being said, but it's true. And number 6, never allow financial affairs to govern the faith life or dedication to the church or orders. So just because I'll use the Vatican as the example. There have been movements that said that the Holy See should sell the Vatican and its art, and all the money should go to help people. And I understand the point of view. They see this church as very fancy, regal, fancy architecture that's overblown. But that's a matter of culture. And culture is very important. to a faith community, and the Catholic Church knows that pretty much as well as anyone. And culture is important. Our art, our music, and the money we spend in that is valuable. And the St. Peter's Basilica is a historical monument for Rome, for the Catholic Church throughout the world. And so I don't think it would be prudent to sell the symbols of the faith, because we need physical symbols. We need culture. We need the church to be alive and not just something on paper or in the mind. It's a living, breathing organism, spiritually guided by Christ, of course, and the Holy Spirit. And so we can't say the church should do this because we think, in our own point of view, that it needs to be done. We have to look at all the variables, so to speak. But past that example, we have to not let the part of our brain that does finances to lead our faith life. Just because we may not like the new altar that the church has, we should stop giving to the church, or we should stop going to mass there. These are trivial things, and the faith comes first. Our obedience to the church comes first. No matter how the church building looks or where the tabernacle is, it's still a church. There are preferences for sure. Many people have different preferences. I have preferences, I can't lie. But in the end, the sacrament of our Lord Jesus Christ is there, and the visuals is secondary to the actuality of Him being present and sacrificing His life for us at every Mass. So don't let the financial or the material govern the spiritual life. That's the important thing to remember. The church is just an example. So that's it for today. I know it's shorter, but that happens sometimes. And I just want to say this is not a sponsored video by the church or any charity, but I just wanted to say from my own point of view that it's very important. And financial status is important in the Wondrous Orders, because we do have to worry about the material need that we have and how that relates to the faith. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, leave a like. I'll get back to you if you leave a comment. Thank y'all so much for joining me once again. This has been Wonder of Faith. May God be with you and bless you, and I will see you all next time.